There's a human element that you don't like change. And it's funny when I hear people that say it, I go, I think you're lying. I think you're lying. We all get set into our routines. We kind of fall into what we do. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be things, should be striving for bigger goals or doing bigger things here, or work, whatever. Change happens. But I don't know if you ever really like it. And when you get a change with the Cleveland Browns, that your biggest assistant coach, maybe one of the most undersung heroes on why the Browns are as successful as they are, walks in the office and says, guys, I gotta go. There's a higher calling here. This isn't me leaving for money. This isn't me leaving for a better job. This is me leaving for family. There's some Fast and the Furious reference there that I'm not going to make on this show.
Family.
I just picture
Vin Diesel?
No. I just picture Bill Callahan in a white Supra and Kevin Stefanski in the other car, and they just
part ways. It's been a long day without you, my friend.
You just picture Bill Callahan.
We need Reflog to get on that.
I find that way too.
Reflog, please.
Stefanski in the Charger. And for people that haven't watched Fast and the Furious, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you do, like, you just picture Bill. Pull it up.
The Charlie Puth soundtrack.
Oh my God. And in no reference am I trying to say Bill Callahan is going to pass away like Paul Walker. I just want that out there. Could you just picture Bill?
What kind of whip would Bill drive?
That's what I'm saying. Could you picture him in an all-white Supra? Oh my God, pulling up, and he looks over, and there's Kevin Stefanski in the car. And they just drive and they just part their ways. Yeah, exactly. Where Charlie Puth is in the background. Oh my God. I found that way too funny to start the show. You should always start your Friday in a show with a good laugh. And boy, did I get one there. Oh my God, I'm crying. That was hilarious. I found that way too funny. But it is all about family, man. Oh, my God. It is all about family when it comes to Bill Callahan leaving the Cleveland Browns. It is happening. It's borderline official. And I tell you this, I can't promise enough. We have Jake Burns, OBR, coming up at 9:30. I can't wait to talk to Jake. Because I was going to get in all with Ken Dorsey about him. Because Jake is seeing some things with Ken Dorsey we need to talk about. But Jake also has some takes on Bill Callahan, and we all assume Scott Peters will just ascend to that role. Jake's got a take. You are not going to want to miss it. 9:30. Jake's coming on with us. We got that. Cavs! Nice little win last night. Donovan makes the all-star team, and it seems like I assume Jarrett Alle might. Bad news on Embiid. LeBron coming back. Our pets are all falling. Heads are falling off. We got timeout. We got the bracket. We got the morning update. We got it all right here on Big Play. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler. I need the GIF. I need it now. Bill Callahan pulls up. Stefanski's in the other car, and they just separate and they go their ways. Because this is about family. Do you have Reflog's number? Can you just text it to him?
Yeah, I can text him too. But real quick, Matt, if I were you, I would go retweet the bracket again, unless you want 311 to lose.
No. They were losing when I went to bed, or when I checked it yesterday afternoon. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like your best chances to get more votes.
I thought you said 311 was leading and I needed to get the push here. No, our bracket is the most overrated artist of all time. It is damn close. Beatles 311, which is just hating on me. Coldplay and Beyonce, they're all separated by 4 percentage points. So go vote at Matt Fontana Show. Drop us a follow there. We're up on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube as well. Check us out all across the platforms on Insta. So I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I was shocked when I saw the news about Bill Callahan, because I thought he was going to stay. But Ryan, what did I say weeks ago? That I was conditioning myself and I was going to operate as if he was going to leave. Then I'm not going to lie, I got sucked into the hopeful that he was going to stay because there were reports he was going to stay. And I just kept going back to that pull, that gravitational pull of going to help your son, I thought was going to be too much. And I framed it like this. Your son or daughter has gotten the biggest opportunity of their career. You are an expert in the field that they are in a specific area. They got this opportunity. They call you and they say, Dad or Mom, I need you to come do this with me because this might be the only chance I get at this job. If I fail, I don't know when I'm going to get back to do this. Also, let's call it for what it is. Bill Callahan's 67 years old. I don't think he's coaching for another 25 years. We might not ever get this opportunity again. This is the first time in NFL history that a son has hired his father. The other way around's different. Father hiring the son, that happened. The son hiring his father, that's the first time that's ever happened. That was all pulling at Bill Callahan. I didn't know how he was going to say no to that, and obviously he didn't. Now, I know a lot of people have the same take that I do. That's well done on the Cleveland Browns because they could have made this a mess. They could have been spiteful and vengeful and said, dude, you're under contract and you're not technically getting a promotion there. You're going to do the same job there. We're going to hold on. But they see it like any other human being would. Why would you want him around if his heart is really not invested in this or his mind is really not in it? They made the right call. Their hands were tied. There's nothing that they could have done about this. And I respect Bill Callahan for saying, like, dude, this is a tough decision, but I really, how could you not? How could you not make that move to go help out your child if they asked you to do it? So on that alone, I understand that. Now I'm concerned about what the Cleveland Browns are going to do. And there's one school of thought. And I can't wait to talk to Jake about this coming up at 9:30. I'm going to preview a little thing that Jake said. Maybe you do need a new little fresh look at this O-line. Because we all laud and say that Bill Callahan is one of the best, and that's just a fact, right? From a technique standpoint, from this and that. Jake's whole point is that there are some deficiencies that you see with this team. So my point might be, if you squeezed all the juice out of Bill Callahan that you could, and you got a lot of these guys coached up well, okay, maybe it's time for a new scheme. I still want Callahan here, but the fact that he's going, you're like, all right, maybe we open things up here. The negative side of this is you're going to have a lot of change on that O-line. If not this year, the following year for sure. Where at this point, you got 6 guys for 5 starting spots. Guards are fine if they bring back Wyatt Teller. I got to take on that. Do not let me forget about that. I'll get to it in 1 minute. Remind me. Just put your thumb up again, and it'll remind me. But you got these guys in the O-line, but you have this question on the tackles. What are you going to do there? We've talked to, who did we talk about? They said bring back all of them. Oh, Jack Duffin. We talked to Jack of OBR as well. And Jack said, no, I'd bring all 3 of them back, Conklin, Wills, and DeJuan Jones, and you let it play out and you see how it goes. The development of DeJuan Jones now has a turn because if you're trying to get him over to your left tackle to be your franchise guy for years, you'd like a guy like Bill Callahan around. This is a big loss. I think everybody sees that. Is it as big as maybe losing Jim Schwartz or losing something? I mean, not necessarily, but this is a big part of what the Browns were trying to do. And again, we'll talk to Jake about maybe spinning this in a positive way that sometimes a fresh view on things would be good. All right, remind me.
Wyatt Teller, you had to take?
I was going to just put your thumb up. That's what I was going to try to. Thank you. The Browns have no choice but to keep Wyatt Teller here now. The Bill Callahan move tells me you cannot let Wyatt Teller leave. You just can't. And I know the contract and he should be here. But my point is, if you're losing one of the biggest pieces of your offensive line, I can ill afford to add yet another wrinkle to that O-line. There is in no world that I can let Wyatt Teller leave because he has been coached up by Bill Callahan. He's really helped Wyatt's career. But in all this year, and I want to make sure that I'm correct on Wyatt's contract on this.
I think it's 11.5.
He's under contract. No, okay, so here's the thing. There was a potential out. That's what I knew there was something that I was saying. There's a potential out. after this past season. So you could get out of Wyatt Teller's deal over the next 2 years if you wanted to. My point is, with Bill Callahan leaving, I can't do that. I can't do that. With as many questions as I already have, you got to keep Wyatt Teller here. And that might sound crazy that losing your position coach would make me change my thoughts on a contract or who you keep and not. But that's I think that's a real thing. If this is going to be flipped around as much as we think it might be, you have to keep him here. I can't unload that on Scott Peters or some other offensive line coach that they want to bring in or whatever the case may be, right? I just look at him that's one. If Bill Callahan's leaving, which he is, you got to bring Wyatt Teller back. I've got to bring as many good players as I can, the system, the scheme, guys that are in it. I can ill afford to add yet another wrinkle. Let me put it this way. Your mountain to climb now with the O-line is pretty steep. I don't want to add anything more to that. I'm not trying to create yet another problem here that we're already going to have to go through a pretty treacherous time. And maybe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe I'm looking at it and maybe Scott Peters is perfect for this, or Jake's got an idea about another O-line coach that can come in and fix this right up or fit this scheme right in. Maybe Ken Dorsey's the magical elixir. Maybe our guy Andy Dickerson's coming in for this job now. That also kind of tells you the Browns were prepared for this. I would imagine, again, they never, when everybody jumped on Callahan returning, at that point, Brian Callahan didn't have that job yet. So maybe even they thought in the Callahan household, maybe he's not getting this job. All right, Brown, I'm committed to you. I'm going to stay here. And then he got the job and everything changed. Reality, as long as it was still an option, the Browns probably were preparing like he was going to leave. And we know Brandon Lynch had an interview down there. Did he also not interview with Tennessee? Is that where he was interviewing for DC?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. And he meant a lot to this team. You're trying to keep the core guys together. But the loss of Bill Callahan, it's a big one. You're going to feel it. The thing is, it's also on offense too. And again, with Dorsey here, with Watson, with all these questions that we have, of course, this is circled now with something else that you're going to have to deal with on the offensive side of things. So I'm not ringing the 5-alarm fire here, but it's something I'm like, okay, all right. Is this not crazy to say, but it's true? I feel worse about losing Bill Callahan than I do Alex Van Pelt. Now, Van Pelt was a choice by the team. Let's not forget that. And the choice of the Browns would probably be to keep Bill Callahan. But I don't know if I could ever make a scenario that losing your O-line coach is more impactful than losing your offensive coordinator. And that's the situation we're in right now. The other side of it, this would be a pretty sought-after job, would it not be? And again, they might just elevate Scott Peters. We've talked about Scott a few times. He's a former NFL offensive lineman himself. He's been with Bill Callahan here in Cleveland for a couple of years, and there's a good vibe around the league that Scott Peters would be ready to take over an O-line room. This is a guy that has actually paid his dues. He's been through it. He can take over a room and be an O-line coach, and maybe he's great, and maybe he's the next guy. Or do they go outside? Do they go outside the organization? That kind of comes back to maybe the theme of this Browns offseason, right? Is that what we were doing was not good enough. Okay, with all the factors we had to deal with Watson getting hurt, Chubb getting hurt, all this. But clearly, they feel like what we were doing was not good enough. So they have signaled, we got to start looking outside this building here. We need to bring in some fresh minds with some fresh ideas, a fresh look at things. You wanted to do that with Stump Mitchell and now Deuce Staley. You wanted to do that with your quarterback coach, which is still yet unnamed. You wanted to do that with your offensive coordinator. You didn't want to do that with the O-line, but now you have that opportunity. Would you not just continue on that trend to say, yeah, come on in. Let's get somebody else in here that has this idea of what we can do to be better here or just a fresh look on things. I'd imagine they keep that kind of going. So whether it's just elevating the guy who's been here, the players know him, all that, or going to find somebody else, it'll remain to be seen. So again, I can't promo this enough. 15 minutes away, Jake Burns going to join us from the OBR. He's got thoughts on Ken Dorsey. He's got thoughts on the Bill Callahan departure. We got all that coming up with Jake. But we do have to talk some Cavs. That was nice. Just like that Pistons game, man. you are going to get the best shot from everybody. Did the Cavs play a perfect game last night? In no stretch in any way. Turnovers are... Dude, the Darius Garland hot takes, man. Okay. Let's just get right to it. Okay, Jarrett Allen had to leave that game. Evan Mobley didn't play. Okay, fine, whatever. Darius Garland has become the new, lightning rod for the Cavs. Where I just get tweets about him not oh, man, he had a bad game or, he's off. I get this straight up, he sucks. And I go, oh, what the hell did this come from? Now, this year, even before the broken jaw, not shooting threes all that great or where we know he could be. And I'm like, and then the biggest thing for everybody is rightly so, the turnovers. It's bad right now. And I want to defend and say, dude, this is his second game back after missing some time. But then the people go, well, did you watch the first 2 months of the season? And now all of a sudden I'm in a conflicted spot. Because we sit here and we play this puzzle game with the Cavs, right? We're like, all right, if we keep Mitchell and then we keep Mobley, it looks like this. Or wait, if we did Mitchell and Allen, wait, you're trying to piece it all together. The one guy that can't go anywhere is Darius Garland, and he's the one that some people legitimately feel the worst about. That's a problem.
Matt, there's so many parallels to this Cavs team to the Browns, right? I mean, you look at the coach. We wanted him out of the town in the first 2-3 weeks because things weren't going well and injuries were stacking up. And then we have this flip of the season where we're playing above expectation. And then everybody's like, oh, now JB extend, coach of the year or whatnot. And then, like you said, Darius, the one guy who's locked up, and you're like, you can't get rid of him. And people are like concerned. It's the same thing as Deshaun Watson.
Here's the thing. I'm believing in that Darius Garland is going to try to figure this out. I Googled this quick. Do you know who has the most turnovers in the NBA this season?
I know who has the largest turnover rate. I don't know about who has the most turnover.
Like the actual most turn. And I guess I should look over and look at it to see, ratio or assist to turnover ratio. Trae Young has the most turnovers in the NBA this season. Then Giannis, then Julius Randle, then Doncic, then Anthony Edwards, Sabonis, Banchero.
And those are all great players.
LeBron, he's sixth. We'll get to him in a second coming up. All right, hang on, wait. Let me look this. I should have looked this up for the show. I apologize. 2-assist ratio.
I know Thanos Antetokounmpo turns the ball over 2 out of every 5 times.
So these guys are the best. I want the worst. That can't be true. Donovan Mitchell is 100th in the NBA at 2.2. Okay, that's not good. All right, I've derailed. I was just trying to look up to see how bad is Darius Garland with the turnovers? We need to find that. In the NBA, what is Darius Garland's assist to turnover ratio? This is from the Chronicle Telegram back in December. I don't know about December. Who wrote that? Oh, shout out to Bob Finan. Bob's the best. He's the best. I'm not going back to December for that. Anyway. All right, I'm back to Fox Sports here. Darius Garland. Why does this not load? Why does the internet in here always suck? I don't know. I'm going to put that on you to look it up here for a second. He has 80 turnovers this season. He has a turnover percentage of 17. That's the highest since his rookie year. So that's not good. Okay, here it is. I found it. Oh, God. Whoa, God. His assist to turnover ratio is 1.6. Okay, you can't be doing that. You can't. The league leader this year is at 7. 7 assists for every 1 turnover. Darius Garland is at 1.6 assists for every turnover that he has.
Do you know who's first? Is it?
Probably.
Is it Halliburton?
Tyus Jones. Tyrese Halliburton's 5th. Tied for 5th. Tyus Jones, Chris Paul, Mike Conley, Fred VanVleet, Tyrese Halliburton, Peyton Pritchard, Spencer Dinwiddie. Those are the highest. Tyus Jones at 7.2. Other guys are at 6. The league at 3, 4, probably around there. And now you have down to Darius Garland 1.6. I'm not ready to be all worried about Darius Garland. I'm really not. Watching that game last night, my bigger takeaway was, outside of the Garland hate that I got, was this Cavs team, they now realize what it's like to be the hunted, right? And it's a different time than when LeBron was here, which, again, we'll get to that in a minute. But when everybody comes after you, you get these crappy, horrible teams that have no reason to put up any fight anymore, but they're going to give you their best game. And I think it's in part where sometimes the Cavs get off to slow starts in these games, and you believe the Memphis Grizzlies, 10 minutes into that game, believed, hey, man, we can make this a game here. And they tried to keep it as close as they could. Then you lose Jarrett Allen to the ankle injury. Okay, and there's a whole nother thing. You don't have Evan Mobley. The Cavs still found a way to fight through and get a win last night. That is massive, I think, for how this team is going to operate the rest of the regular season. I need them focused come playoff time, and that's going to be massive. And there's a switch that needs to be flipped. No, it's another show in this town, they deal with that. But there's a flip that you got to have when you get to the playoffs, right? But for the regular season, you can't just pack it in, because then you develop bad habits, and then you get out of the flow that you're in. So I'm happy to see how the Cavs are operating, where they have every excuse to chalk up some of these games and lose, and they don't. And they fight through it, and they get wins. I like that, Ryan, because it's building this, where you had to reset this culture here. And this team, for even some guys that had made the playoffs before, but a vast majority hadn't, you need to learn how to navigate this stuff. That's why, for as many of the reasons that LeBron is great and why he's so good, there is nobody in the league that knew how to navigate a season better than LeBron. He knew when the team needed to turn up. He knew when it was a time where we just can get some wins here and see how it plays out. And then he always showed the hell up in the playoffs.
Sounds like he's the GOAT.
I would agree. He's the greatest basketball player that's ever played. I would agree with that, Ryan. That's what I said. I don't know why you're twisting my words over here.
I'm not twisting nothing.
Now, Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time.
No, Matt, I was happy with the win, right? I mean, you never want to see your team play sloppy, right? But right. I mean, we saw the Bucks lose to the Trailblazers, right? They're not in panic mode by any means. But I mean, the only kind of like cause for concern was like when that Bally's graphic popped up of their starting 5. I mean, that looked like a G League team.
Well, that's the thing. They got all these guys. They were talking about the broadcast. They had to sign guys to two-way deals just last week to field 8 guys.
So Matt, have you heard of any of their? Okay, obviously we've heard of Jaren Jackson Jr. That's the one,
right?
And okay, Scottie Pippen Jr. He only counts because his name,
because of death,
right? But you wouldn't know. Who
I remember.
But have you ever heard of before going into last night's game?
Conchar, yes, because I thought he had a weird last name, and we'd always run into him. Yes.
Santi Aldama?
No.
Vince Williams Jr.?
No.
And I've never heard of John Conchar.
I just know him because he's got a name that's stuck with me. I don't know why Conchar, but anyway. Yeah, no, and then that Gigi
Jackson.
He's 19 years old. Isn't that insane? That's nuts. And that is another, like, the Grizzlies, they gave you everything that they had last night. And it kind of tells you just, again, how maybe good the Cavs are. That they can play around with some of these teams and get a win. I like where they're at. I like where their head's at. This LeBron stuff won't die. Okay? We got to break so we can get Jake right at 9:30, okay? But does Rob Pelinka actually have the stones to trade away LeBron James? Before you think about him coming to the Cavs, which he ain't.
Yeah, that's
it ain't happening.
Not this year, but he will.
I don't know. They can literally trade no one. There is no world that the Cavs can even make a semi-attractable trade to the Lakers, let alone trying to get that money to work. I didn't even fire up the trade machine this morning. How are you going to make that money work? You'd have to give up Allen or Mobley. Or not even Mobley, you'd have to give up Garland. You'd have to make that money. It ain't happening. I don't want it to happen. I ain't giving those guys up. But the other reason I don't think it's happening, there is in no way, and this is not a shot at Rob Pelinka per se, There is no way you cannot trade LeBron James. You're not doing that.
But what if he's not guaranteed to sign after this year? Like, he's a free agent.
That's LeBron's game, and you knew that when you signed
That's fine,
up
but
with
I
it.
think there's a lot more writing on the wall than there ever has been in Los Angeles.
And you want to know what?
But then why would you not?
Down,
But why would you not?
LeBron might actually want to get out of L.A.
Right. So
he might actually be done. But if he wants to stay,
but like, what if they know he doesn't?
Where's he gonna go?
Where
is he gonna go? Where does it actually make sense for him to go? That again, this is not free agency where he can pick a team. They have to trade. And the same thing, Rob Pelinka to say, we actually would need to get pieces back for this. Like, we got to borderline set our future up with this. I put this on right now, save this clip, send it to Old Takes Exposed. The Lakers are not trading LeBron. Here's the thing. They might want to, and even LeBron might want to get traded. He's not. He's not. There is no way. Plus, when's the trade deadline? You got a couple of weeks to get this figured out?
February 8th, less than.
Oh, my God. I thought it was in 2 weeks. You got 6 days. It ain't happening. There's no way. Put that down. Save it. Absolutely not. We'll talk about that more in hour 2 because I want to circle back to LeBron. All right, we got to get to Jake Burns. He's going to join us next. OBR, great stuff on Ken Dorsey. Really insightful stuff on the O-line situation with Bill Callahan being out. Jake, OBR, joins us next. Fontana Show right here on Big Play. All right, we got a lot to get into. Let's get right to it. Jake Burns, OBR, joining us for the first time on the show. Great follow on Twitter. I know a lot of Browns fans already do. You can follow Jake at Jake_Burns18. Really appreciate your time, bro. We all of a sudden have a lot of things to talk about. All of a sudden. Let's start with the newest stuff. It is Bill Callahan. I loved your tweets last night. I want to give you the floor here on why you think maybe going outside of the building in Berea to bring in a new O-line coach, not just elevating Scott Peters, why it might be a good idea to maybe bring somebody new in with Callahan.
Yeah, I think there's like a phenomenon around the NFL where it's like you lose a coach and then everyone wants to make like why that's a justifiable thing, right? It's kind of funny. If you go to one fan base, this is the greatest coach that they just hired. The other fan base, it's like, oh, we're happy to see him go. So you're really trying to like balance that with Callahan because he's quite clearly one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the NFL. And I don't think the Browns are better without him per se. But my general theory is like, I think that Callahan's reputation, which is rightfully deserved, kind of glosses over some things that didn't go the way that you would hope they would go, right? Like, while there were guys like Ethan Posich and Wyatt Teller who developed with him, I think there are examples of guys like Jedrick Wills and James Hudson, some that didn't exactly get better under his tutelage. So I think there's some give and take there. I thought at times this past year and the year before, they were pretty sloppy in protection plans. Like, I didn't love their ability to handle tackle in twists. So, like, what I mean by that is a tackle will, they call them line games up front to confuse protection, confuse who guys are supposed to block. So, like, the defensive tackle will kind of charge outside and the edge will loop underneath him as a means to free up rushers. And the Browns just weren't very good at that all year. Now, it's obvious that they were dealing with some injuries at various times, but like the communication stuff and the day-to-day, I didn't think was as crisp as it has always been. So, like, generally my point is I don't think that Callahan was infallible. I thought that there was some stuff that you would look at and not feel, at least in my opinion, was, an elite product by virtue of what he's responsible for. The run game stuff, I did not like their plan in general. I've been kind of vocal about this for a while. Like, I think they have a tendency when they get in the gun to run too much predictable lateral run game, which is slow developing. And teams started to have a real feel for it. Defenses started to have a real feel for it where they were cheating and understanding where the Browns were going to run and really kind of taking the guessing game out of it. And I thought that predictability did not lend well to them consistently running. Like the last 2 years, their like production of what's called negative or 0-yard runs was at the top of the NFL. And while with Nick Chubb, you obviously get some explosive plays because he's a generational back and he can make almost anything work, you do get those situations where you lose Nick and you have kind of some pedestrian running backs in the backfield. And then you have to kind of lean into game plan more, lean into deceptiveness in your run game. And I didn't think they were very, very good at that this year. So, like, you kind of delicately going about this where it's like, I don't know that you can sit here and say whoever they bring in is better than Callahan. I don't think that's the case, but it's also like this doesn't write a death sentence for their year. I think that they can hire Scott Peters if they believe he's good enough at it, the assistant offensive line coach. Like, if he absorbed enough of what Bill was teaching, the thought process he went into it with, and they believe he's sharp enough to do it, I think you can get behind that hire. I think Peters is more of a technician than anything else. He played in the NFL for a while. The thing that does concern you a little bit, Matt, is that he only has 4 years of coaching experience. His first, like, between his final year in the NFL and his arrival with the Browns in 2020, he had no experience. There was a gap of a decade there where he wasn't coaching. So, like, there's like a little bit of concern. Is this guy ready to handle the mental side of being the offensive line coach, which traditionally, if your play caller is a skill position type, right? Like Stefanski came up as a tight end coach, came up as a quarterback coach. Obviously, we know where Dorsey's linked to in his playing days and coaching days. You lean into your offensive line coach to develop plans for how you're going to protect against the defense's either just traditional pass rush or how they're going to protect against those blitz schemes that they put on tape. So they're in charge of coming up with a plan for that. And even though, like, Stump Mitchell last year is the run game coordinator, that's an offensive line coach's job. Like they're coming up with the ways they think they can run against a certain specific front. Hey, if they give us an under front, this is the stuff we like. Over front, here's what we like. If they go like 3 down or bare front or whatever, these are the run concepts that we think we can run against those. So heavily involved in that. And I think Kevin is at times really talked about Callahan as a voice he trusts, and that stuff is difficult. But I have thought, and I've thought about this with every hire, the stuff the Browns have done over the last 3 years, although they have found success, and I think Kevin is quite clearly one of the better ones at doing it. They need less predictability. They need more outside the box thinking. They need to find more of what I call easy buttons in their offense, whether that's a derivative of motion, alignment stuff. I think that they could benefit from some things that slow teams down in terms of what the Browns like to run in the run game. So like I've been open to Andy Dickerson was an interview that they had for offensive coordinator, but he was a Seattle offensive line coach connected to the McVay Rams and Shane Waldron. So to me, like that type of guy who's been around a different approach to run game attacking is somebody that I'm drawn to. So like I would, and I'm curious, like how far along they were in understanding Callahan would leave, because, I think we can backtrack. We didn't think that Ben Bloom was going to be gone on the defensive line. Out of nowhere, they're interviewing defensive line coaches, but we haven't really heard them interview a specific O-line coach for that role. So maybe this kind of like Callahan's decision crept up on them. And then he said, okay, I am going to go coach with my son. So now they have to kind of change course here. So like, the amount of names on the market, it's a little tricky. It's not quite as open as it was a couple weeks ago. So how they go about it, I don't want to sit here and be like, if they hire Scott Peters, that's a terrible choice. They might like him a lot. I don't know. I'm not inside Berea. I don't know what they think of him as a guy who has the ability to lead a room independently, but I just think that they could benefit, and they've done a nice job with Deuce and Tommy Reese and Dorsey of guys who are outside of the organization trying to freshen up how Kevin approaches calling offense, how they look at what their baseline product will be in terms of how they go about isolating the schemes they like, the run stuff, the pass concepts. I've appreciated that. So I'm just open to that as an offensive line hire, to look at, a guy who's maybe more comfortable as an inside zone play caller, right? A guy who's got more comfort teaching that stuff as opposed to Callahan, who's more of an outside zone guru, right? So these opportunities to me help the Browns recreate their offense. And like, again, you're not trying to like kick Callahan out the door and be like, hey, it's no big deal. But you also say, this is a chance to kind of like look with things with a fresh lens. And I think that if they go about it and they hire the right person, I think you could still be optimistic that the offensive line can be fine. And they're talented there too, right? Like there's still a bunch of talent there. So it's not like somebody coming into this situation is arriving in a place with no talent. Hey, we need you to make, wine here out of this water that's in front of you. Like that's not the case. There's plenty of talent. So, and if Peter stays on as the assistant and helps out with that stuff, that could be a good outcome too. A lot of routes to go here. And I think Browns fans should be optimistic that it can still work just fine.
Yeah, I said the same thing, Jake. They've had a trend now of this offseason going outside the building for all the people that you meant. Keep that trend going. Before we get to Dorsey, I did want to ask you on the O-line. You mentioned it. They're talented there. We talked to your colleague, Jack Duffin, about it. What would you do with the tackle situation? And do you feel like that, with Callahan leaving, like there's been a lot of hay in the barn now. He's got a lot of these guys playing to a high level. What is your overall view, the health of that O-line, even with Callahan moving on?
Yeah, it's tricky. The tackle stuff is tricky. You look at like you're 4 years deep on Jedrick Wills, and he hasn't been the left tackle you'd hope he could be. There's flashes. There's clearly talent there. The personal motivation stuff you question a little bit. Like the things that are holding him back tend to be like finishing plays, things that are not really in the realm of like this guy can't hold his own. I've thought it might be an interesting idea in the last year of kind of like a 5th-year option to try him at right tackle, where he's been most comfortable playing his entire life up to his arrival in Cleveland, just to see if you can spark something in him, a level of comfort that produces quality play. And then try Jack and try Dewan to get one of those guys comfortable playing left tackle. I know it's a bit of a step outside the box considering what Dewan was at Ohio State and what Jack has been, but they both do have some left tackle experience. I would be curious about that sort of outcome. And maybe somebody who comes in new, that's the idea that they want to try to put in place. So the good thing is they have 3 offensive tackles that can play this upcoming year between Jed and between Dewan and between Jack getting back healthy too. So that's a step in the right direction compared to a lot of other organizations. How they organize those guys, we'll see. I think they have a chance to be creative to try to put themselves in a better position. But we'll see what they do ultimately. I mean, center guard, Ethan Posich is fine. His contract is amendable. Like if they don't love his performance this year, they can look to move that around. Plus, they have Luke Whippler, a guy that they drafted out of Ohio State, as an alternative answer there, sort of sitting and waiting on a rookie contract. But Posich is fine. I think he's been good. He's been able to anchor like run game calls and handle the stuff that Treader used to handle in terms of pointing out the mic or making adjustments for what double team concepts they want to get to up front. So he's fine. He's fine, right? The question is what you do with the guards. I think for the first time in a while, I mean, it kind of hurts me to say, the first time in a long time, I thought there was a clear piece of evidence that Joel Bitonio was stepping back
a little
in terms
decline.
of who he is as a player. Now, how much of that is the right knee issue, right? How much of that is the back issue? We'll see. But I think we're both guys in our 30s. I don't think that stuff slows down.
My back hurt this morning, Jake. I got out of bed. I was like, man, my back.
I know, man. So it's like, I don't know that that's just like a part of the big picture with him. And it's like, this stuff is probably not going to slow down anytime soon. And a part of like being good in the NFL, in my opinion, is how well you can play with the injuries. And Joel has done that throughout his career. But this year was the first time where I have noticed like, oh, Joel couldn't anchor against that defensive tackle. He was being driven into the backfield, or that move happened way quicker than he was anticipating. He was fine. He was what I would call above average to good.
You're right. He's still on a high level to begin with, Jake. But as we see, like what was his high level might not be, and it still means that he's above average compared to a replacement guard. But it's still not quite the level of Joel Bitonio that we expect, right?
Yeah, Joel Bitonio at his peak powers is a Hall of Famer. I mean, like that's Joel's MO. So I'm not here to say like this year he's going to be awful, but I think we're on the wrong side of what Joel Bitonio has traditionally been. But that doesn't mean you can't get a couple more years out of him. Wyatt Teller, really, really adept at the run game, but the pass game stuff has so many mishaps that just crop up at the wrong times. So like, they're good guards. I just don't think you can put them in like the elite tier the way that you probably felt you could after 2020 and 2021. So your interior is still good enough. Let's put it that way. It's not without flaw, but it is good enough. And then you have 3 tackles on the perimeter that can play. So there's talent here to still be a good offensive line. But I think what we have to do is give the proper credit to 24 that could make just about any run scheme work. The guy is... He is a generational running back when he's at his peak, and he can make just about anything work, even if there are mishaps that go on in front of him. So like, you remove him from the equation, everything gets put under the microscope, and you start to see how one person's flaw on any given play is a breakdown that causes a 1-yard run that could have been a 22-yard run to happen, right? So like, I just how I would phrase it is, they're not the offensive line you probably think you remember from like 2020 and some of 21, but they're still a top half of the NFL offensive line with the potential, if they have a great year, everyone's healthy, guys play at their best, to be a top 5 unit. But the problem is they're paying that group a lot. Jed's 5th year. Jack's got a big part of his contract in the situation. Both your guards have been paid and Postage has been paid. So the difficult thing that you're trying to do here is understand you're paying this unit like a top 5 unit, but the last 2 years it hasn't been top 5 quality. Now, again, injuries are a part of that. It's not like they've all been healthy and underperforming or something, but you do have to understand that like, the ability to stay healthy, availability, is one of the most important abilities. So like, they have to what the thing that's under the microscope, I'm sure, with Andrew Barry and his group is trying to like, how do we go from paying this group this much to get more out of them? And I think that's probably the biggest question on the offensive side, outside of what they're going to do at receiver, right? So
don't get me started on the receiver, Jake. There's only one thing I need this offseason. It's a receiver. We got to get one in here. We got to find one. We got to talk Dorsey. I don't want to take up your whole morning, but we got to get to Dorsey too eventually. But like, tell me about the receiver, man. Because listen, I'm not even saying like a T Higgins. I'm not even saying like Mike Al. I'd love that, right? Can I go out on a limb for just a second here? I mentioned Odell, and I didn't say Odell himself, but like the mold of Odell, of a veteran guy, maybe a little cheaper, around 10, could get me 700 yards. He had a high yard per catch average last year. Like, just like the mold of Odell, not himself. Just your thoughts on that number 2 receiver. I'm sorry, man. I'm scarred with Elijah Moore. I like him as the 3, as the slot kind of scat, whatever you want to do with him. But tell me about the receivers. Your thoughts on it, man. I got to get one. I have to have one.
Well, yeah, I think they can't go into running it back and think it's good enough to work at the level you need it to work at, unless I mean, you're watching Kansas City pull off miracles, but that's because Patrick is Patrick, right? And you have one of a tight end who's a big game tight end. So like, it's tricky, man. Like the thing with Elijah Moore is he's not a slot. He's not. He's never been that, even though his body looks like a slot receiver. So if you track like what Elijah was best at Ole Miss and early in his Jets career, it's being an outside receiver, a separator type on the outside. But the thing that's also tricky is the flatline speed doesn't show up the way you think it does. The long speed doesn't show up the way his 40-yard dash presents itself. And his body type is not a outside player body type. It's small. So like the thing that if you're going to be an outside receiver and small, you better be an absolute burner in pads. So he's like this outside receiver who can really create separation, but he doesn't do anything vertically beyond 20 yards, and he doesn't have much yard after catch ability. So you're like, this is kind of tricky. He's an outside receiver. That's what he's best at. And he does create some route separation because he runs some clean routes, but he doesn't give us anything after the catch that matters. And he doesn't give us anything in the 20 plus that matters. And he's not going to win jump balls. And he's not a wide target player, right? He doesn't have a great catch radius because he's 5'9" and some change. So it's very tricky with him. The Browns wanted him to be a slot the same way the Jets did. The Jets drafted Garrett Wilson, played Garrett Wilson in the slot originally, and then they're like, what are we doing? That guy is our X. He's an unbelievable player. So they moved more into the slot. He hated that. He wanted to be traded, if you recall, in his second year in New York because he didn't like being taken out of that role. And then ultimately it leads to like, he's trying to play slot. They're trying to figure that out. He's not as good at it. The Browns are trying to have him do that. He's not as good at it in the early portion of the year. And then they did give him an opportunity, and he was sort of fine as an outside receiver. But then it's like, okay, so what do the Browns need then? So then you're going to have a smaller outside receiver who's a little bit limited opposite Amari. So then you're like, okay, can you find somebody who can play the slot, can be a big slot, can be a dynamic player in that role, who can do some stuff outside when needed? I'm drawn to Michael Pittman. If that guy becomes available,
yes,
that's the guy that I'm drawn to if you're going to pay 15, 16, 17 a year. If you're paying 10, that gets dicey. I haven't even really dug into the middle tier guys that could be of that mold, right? Like I don't know where Hollywood Brown will come in per season.
That's Ryan's guy. Yeah, that's Ryan's guy here on the show. Yeah,
a bit more of a vertical plane receiver who can run and brings a different element there. So, yeah, we got to see. The tricky part is you talk through the T. Higgins names and like Pittman, like I said, and so many of these others, but they can be franchise tagged, and there's like who actually hits the market. So the thing I will tell you, and what I firmly believe, is this is one of the best wide receiver draft classes we've seen in a long time. So like as far as the sheer depth goes, and I mean, you're talking top end talent between Marvin and Malik Neighbors and some of these guys, like there are going to be a lot of good receivers that come out of this class. So 55 or moving up 10 picks to 45 or something to get a receiver you really believe in, I think it has a really good chance to net some sort of receiver profit in the draft. But they need to hit, and they haven't exactly been great on second, third round receivers that they've tried to draft. So that's a thing you're trying to navigate. But I'm with you on the premise that this is not a complete room. Running that room back as is not a desirable outcome to me. So couldn't they capitalize on a trade market, right? Can like Calvin Ridley be a guy maybe in free agency at the 10 million mark? Or are they going to swap a late round? Like the Browns have an abundance of late round picks in a draft that is not known to be deep. If you listen to people talk around the draft, it's like NIL is killing the back half of the draft. Guys are going back to play for money at colleges because why wouldn't you go back and play for money? And then it's like, that means sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh round picks are not as deep as they have traditionally been. And the Browns have a lot. I mean, they pick like 54 and 88 or something like that. They have 2 top 100 picks, but they have a lot in the back half. So can you take a couple of those picks and then combine those to go out and whoever that receiver is that wants to be dealt or moved, whatever, can you find a way to pull off an Amari Cooper like deal? Not that you can, there's not Amari Coopers available for the rate that they got him all the time, but that's something that they could get into, right? Is some sort of trade like that. Haven't even thought of who that could be, but that's just something, another angle that they could take to try to attack that position. But if they have genuine Super Bowl aspirations here, you got to get another dynamic playmaker in your wide receiver room to give Deshaun just a better chance in general. So I'm with you on that.
Jake Burns joining us, OBR. Of course, follow him, Jake_Burns18. Let's get to Ken Dorsey. You really did the deep dive, and I don't want to spoil your article yet that's coming out at OBR, but just a little bit on Dorsey. I mean, Jake, you watch a lot more film than I do. I'm just kind of general with that, but everybody kind of comes back to the Browns and their motion rate, and they're one of the lowest teams in the NFL in pre-snap motion in a league that now is really predicated on that, on trying to flip get the defense to tip off what they're doing. Is that something you see Ken Dorsey being able to fix here? Is that one of the biggest problems with the Browns? And the ultimate question on Dorsey getting this offense right for Deshaun Watson?
No, the motion stuff is not what he's been. So, I mean, that part of it is interesting to me. Does that mean that guys who are as sharp as Kevin and Ken can't look at what other teams are doing and implement it? No, I think that's really lazy if they don't try to draw in more of that. I think you talk to a lot of Buffalo people. He's a very smart, savvy X's and O's guy. And what you gather is that he wasn't a very good leader of a collective offense. And I think you can see that. I do think he's pretty adept at what you want your coverage beaters to be. Hey, this is, you get cover 3. We have a great beater dialed up for that. Cover 2, cover 6, whatever it is. We have answers for those things. I thought the run game stuff got better as he went between 22 to 23. I think as far as schemes go, he'll be fine. He isn't going to necessarily draw from many things that Kevin is not drawn from. There are a lot of West Coast staples in the passing game. He does have more experience with RPOs. They did it because Josh Allen has a special flick of the wrist ability where he can get the football from one spot, reached out, extended to a back, and get it into the sidearm location and flip that thing out there really, really well. So they did a lot of RPO stuff. So there is an encouraging idea that he would bring some of that, because I do think Deshaun has lived in that world dating back to 2020 when he was at his best with a lot of variation and run pass option stuff. So that's a possibility. I think that's something they're drawn to. I think they're drawn to the general X's and O's knowledge. But as far as like you're looking for someone who's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, maybe somebody from, the tree of McVay or the tree of some of these heavy motion users, McDaniels, stuff like that. He's not one of those guys, but what I think they're trying to do though, and what I hope is happening is that they're bringing in guys who have built their own offense and tried to do this. Tommy Rees at a couple different college locations has been in charge of an entire staff and has called plays at 2 pretty big universities, right? So between Notre Dame and Alabama, you get Nick Saban to trust you to run your offense. That does mean something. I think Dorsey has done a really, really good job with quarterbacks under his tutelage between Cam and between Josh and getting the best out of those guys. And then he's also tried to lead an offense and do his own schematic stuff. So while Kevin's on the sideline in years past, maybe not getting answers or suggestions or thoughts, between those two guys, Deuce Staley, who's also been around the league for a while, can provide some fresh aspect of thought process. I'm sure he's going to be labeled the run game coordinator as well when the official stuff comes out. He has more knowledge to pull from than he has in a while. Now, losing Callahan, that is a base of knowledge that you would love to have. Maybe they've gotten from Callahan most of his thought process stuff, and they'll be able to continue to apply that and work with an O-line coach to get to that point. But I do think that the idea here with Dorsey is sharp quarterback mind, gets the most out of his guys traditionally from a quarterback perspective. And I don't think they're going to have him call plays, Matt. I think
I was going to ask you, what do you think? No,
Yeah,
not only that, Jake, what would you think about it and what would you want to happen? Are they the same thing? You think it's Stefanski and you want it to be Stefanski? That's how I feel.
I think in the modern era of the NFL, you want your head coach, if he's adept at calling plays, to do it, because losing coordinators who are anchoring that side of the football is not exactly the healthiest thing for continuity year over year.
Great point.
So I think that I would prefer. Kevin is also good at it. It's not like he's bad. So I think that Kevin's still doing it. Ken focusing a lot on game plan, coverage beaters, specific things like third down concepts and stuff of that nature to give Kevin is probably best, with a heavy emphasis on helping and being in the quarterback room. I don't think we're going to see a quarterback coach hired. I think he's going to be doing that dual role. And I think that's my hunch. Now they could, my luck, they'll hire somebody when we get off the interview here. But I haven't had any inclination that they're going to hire a quarterback coach, because I think Ken is the voice that they would want leading Deshaun's thought process. And the thing that's good too is, I talked to some New England people who have questions about Van Pelt, and it's like, he was an offensive coordinator who didn't call plays, but was on the sideline. The Browns it's always been a mystery. Like Chad O'Shea, Callahan, Stump, and AVP were all on the sideline.
Right,
like, I do think you need some smart people up top who can talk you through what they're seeing. Now, there are some guys that have gone up there in the past. I mean, it's not to say the Browns are sending no one up there, but I do think a coordinator who's up high and can give you some feedback and like talk through some things they're seeing with the quarterback as well. It would be a nice addition. And really, too, I've made this joke that between Tommy Rees snapping back when he was in Notre Dame in the box, and then that time Ken Dorsey just absolutely obliterated the box up there. That is an unsafe place for people to be this year. But no, I think that getting a better quality coach up high would be a good thing for this offense. And there's some things I'm still concerned about, Matt. Like I am curious about how they're going to evolve the run game still. O-line coach matters for that. And I'm obviously curious how they're going to try to incorporate more motion, because they cannot look at the current state of the NFL and really look at what motion did to their own defense and feel like they're doing enough in that regard. So I really think there's a chance when we watch the Browns play offensive football next year, it looks a pretty good amount different than what we're accustomed to, because it's pretty rare we get 4 years of the same staff and the same structure of an offense. So it could be pretty jarring to see it look different than it has been for 4 years. That's a long time of watching your football team play pretty much a similar way on offense. You know what I mean? So there's a chance it looks a lot different. I don't dislike the Ken Dorsey hire, but I think people have oversold a little bit of like what his role is and what he brings to the table here. I think I've tried to define it a little differently for people. What I think he is, he's going to be a really well-paid, well-respected quarterback coach who has a say in what they're doing offensively and brings his experience to the role. But I would be not jaw-droppingly stunned, but I would be pretty surprised if Kevin gives him that ability to call plays.
I agree with you, man. We really appreciate your time. Jake Burns, OBR, Jake_Burns18 on Twitter. First of many interviews here with us, Jake. We always appreciate the time, man. Happy Friday.
Big fan of yours, Matt. Thanks for having me,
bro. There he goes. Jake Burns, dude. We get smarter. You just get smarter when you talk to Jake. I love his podcast, his writing, his stuff on Twitter is just phenomenal. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who watch tape. I don't know anybody that watches more tape than Jake. Seriously. He and I are on a lot of same pages there. And I agree with them on first kind of the tempered expectations there with Ken Dorsey, because not my first pick there. And you see what he brings in. We agree Kevin's going to call plays. And I wanted to start with Jake with Callahan, which I loved. It's easy to overreact at this day to be like, oh my God, we're screwed. We're losing this guy. But to understand, like, yeah, man, I mean, you got 4 years out of him. You tried to squeeze as much out as you could for as much as people like Bill. And Jake was flat out right. The Browns are not better losing Bill Callahan. But this is also something that you can overcome, you can deal with, and they're just going to have to move on with it. So I loved a lot of his insight there.
Well, I certainly feel at least a little bit better, on
the Callahan side, right?
Yeah, than I certainly did last night and even this morning. And yeah, I mean, what he said makes total sense. You know?
And that's the thing. The line that also there late with Jake, which I appreciated, was like you've been doing this for 4 years, right? So you fall into this system, and you want to pop into my head. I go, yeah, not only the Browns have been doing this for 4 years, but the defenses know that you've been doing this for 4 years. And this is kind of what you're on. It's always that evolution. And I think it's the reinventing of some of these coaches, which makes Andy Reid so good, which makes, Sean McVay so good. They're finding that next thing. They're finding that next big thing on offense. And as he said, another great point by Jake, when you're the head coach, it's your ship, right? You're doing this. You don't want to be Nick Sirianni where your guys leave and you're sitting there holding the bag going, well, I got nothing here.
That's so funny you say that, because as soon as he said, his point of Kevin calling plays, right? Because then you don't have to worry about the fallout of maybe losing your coordinator who you relied on heavily to really run and organize your offense. That's immediately the team that I thought of was the Eagles. They couldn't see me, but I cracked a smile and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, that's exactly what's going on in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's the most recent and prime example, but sure, you lose people here and then even with other moves like Dan Quinn, we'll get to that in the morning update. Like, he's going to Washington, not see that coming. Now, is he going to rip Brian Schottenheimer away? Like, all these changes that can happen to an NFL team when it comes to the coordinator, at least if it's the head coach, he owns that. All right, we have a lot to get to. I want to keep reacting to what Jake had to say. We got to get to the morning update because yet again, Ryan, nobody wants to coach in college. Chip Kelly trying to get out? Cliff Kingsbury back to the NFL. We'll get to all that, more Cavs, a lot more Browns, and yes, we'll get back into LeBron right here on the show. Folks, Typico, we're on a little culture. That's fine. We're up big. Folks, Typico, we're going to do an NBA boost tonight. So here's how you do it. You go to Typico, you download their app, you use the code Fontana100 when you sign up. You deposit and bet $25 on whatever you want, and you get $100 in bonus bets to jump in on the boost, to jump in on college basketball, pro basketball, hockey. We got the All-Star game this weekend. I will be placing some bets on the All-Star game.
I will not be watching.
What do you mean? Come on, it's going to be a lot of fun. The skills competition is great. I love it. What do you got? Boost for tonight, even before ours. Nuggets, Thunder. You got the Kings, Pacers. Trailblazers. No. Ooh, how about this? This is a crazy boost that I love. Plus 500 tonight for Jokic in the first quarter only to score 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and to not turn the football over. That's plus 500. On a boost. I think that's a pretty interesting one. We got soccer, we got tennis, we got it all for you with our friends at Typico. The rewards program is out and rocking. They have the new Flex Parlay, which is awesome. Check them out. Typico, use that code Fontana100 when you sign up, deposit and bet $25, and you get that $100 in bonus bets. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. Check that out on the website. All right, come back. Morning update. Lots to get to. Hour 2 upon us. Stay with us. right, let's get to it, Ryan. The morning update. A lot across the NFL. A few things in the NBA. Stories you got to know on Friday. Take it away.
Alrighty, Matt. Well, the NBA All-Star reserves were named for the East and West last night. Donovan Mitchell got his 5th All-Star appearance after getting named to the reserves. However, Matt, Jarrett Allen was not named an All-Star reserve. However, we know that Joel and Julius Randle will not be playing, so he is a likely candidate to replace them. But how do you feel about him? Because I do, and I think you think that he got snubbed.
He did, and I know people are jumping on like Trae Young that there's only been 3. You know about this, Trae Young, that there's only been 3 times at an All-Star break that a player has averaged 20 or more points per game and 10 or more assists and missed the All-Star game. 2 of those 3 instances were Trae Young.
Wow.
And I don't know. You take it for what it is. But Jarrett Allen, he just, like everybody goes, Kristaps Porzingis really got snubbed on that. Wait, did he make it? No, Porzingis did not. He was one of the big snubs. And I go, these guys got nothing for Jarrett Allen. Like, I look at it from more of the standpoint, I think the Cavs deserve multiple All-Stars. Like, that's just, you want to argue on Jarrett Allen's candidacy on its own? Sure. Let me talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers' candidacy. They deserve to have 2 All-Stars. And the fact that they don't at this point is bullcrap. They need to expand the rosters out. And I think, to your point, yes, Julius Randle's not playing in that game. Embiid. You have Embiid to bring? All right, we'll get to that in a second. Like, there it is. Now, Jarrett with his own ankle injury now. We'll see how that plays out. He deserves to go. I hope he will go. I think he will.
Alrighty, Matt. Well, here's your time to brag again. Because why? Because Cliff Kingsbury is joining the Raiders' offensive staff. He's going to be their offensive coordinator.
He's not the only one.
And Chip Kelly looking to make a return in the NFL. Matt, it seems like you are on to something. That's not even what I was
talking about it. But yes, there's reports out Chip Kelly wants to leave. Like, this is my other reason I keep bringing this up. It's not to keep patting myself on the back to tell you. It's an obvious thing to see, folks. The mass exodus of college football coaching is on. If you have any option, you're going to the pros. And eventually, yes, like Jim Harbaugh, you won the national championship. You did what you needed to. You're making 18 freaking GD million a year. Okay, I'd leave too. I get it. I'm talking about some of these other guys. Like, we just got done talking with Jake Burns, right? Jake brought up Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees was on the fast track to getting a head coaching job in college soon. Offense coordinator at Notre Dame, offense coordinator at Alabama. He goes, nah, I'm going to go to the pros. See you later. Chip Kelly, who is at what should be a legacy program that's entering a new conference, new juice. It's UCLA, and that's not good enough for him. He would leave UCLA to go be an OC in the NFL somewhere? It tells you exactly where it's at. Everybody's trying to get out of college right now. And I guess there could be that turnover of college or, pro guys like, all right, well, I'll jump down to college. It's a grind that nobody wants to do, but the mass exit is on. It only is a matter of time before that starts to impact your product on the college side of things. And this is exactly what we are setting up for, which is a negative thing. That there will only be 2 groups in college football. There will be the haves and the have-nots. And the haves will be the select, Ryan, I dare say 15 teams, maybe 20, that get all the best guys, all the best transfer portals. They got all the NIL money. They're going to always be making the college football playoff, and they'll be competing for a national championship. That's it. And then you have this giant other side of it of the have-nots, and there will be no point ever to be in the pool of the have-nots. That's what the college football is staring down right now. I don't know what they're going to do to fix it. If they're going to turn a blind eye to it, they're going to kill college football. They're going to kill it, is what's going to happen. And you're going to turn it into the NFL, where all you have, again, are these 20-odd-some teams that they're the only ones anybody ever wants to see, and you just want to see them play each other over and over again with this open scheduling and stuff. Now you've devalued conferences. It's not going to be there. I'm going to put it this way, right? There will be no point anymore in Indiana fielding a football team. And I'm not taking some shot at a MAC school or a Mountain West school. I'm talking about a legitimate Big Ten program. And they have basketball and they got all those other sports. Eventually, you will get to that point where it won't even make it won't matter. It won't matter. Oh, well, there's a year that we could get our up and come and make it to the Big Ten championship and maybe make it to the college football playoff. Okay, fine. You really think that's going to happen with the landscape and the teams coming into the Big Ten? No, it will not. There's a massive problem coming, and they're turning a blind eye to it, and I don't know what they're going to do to fix it. They're going to kill college football. They're going to kill it. You're killing your father, Larry. You're killing your father, Larry. Is this your homework?
It was confirmed last night that Philadelphia 76ers star and then MVP frontrunner again, Joel Embiid, did tear his meniscus, Matt. I looked up the timetable for that. Didn't see anything official, but it looks like Joel could miss up to 2 months.
Oh,
and
yeah, he's going to miss some time.
Dangerous for the 76ers, who are currently in the 5th seed right behind the Cavaliers.
And again, Dr. Matt over here, which I am not in any stretch of the imagination, I feel like I've heard stories about guys with meniscus injuries aren't as easy as you'd think, where you have the surgery, you come back, you're good to go. I feel like there's stories of guys that have just, their meniscus turns into something bigger than it really is. I will say this. I hate it because he's a really good player. But as a Cavs fan, dude, that 3 seed is now wide the freak open. Like, the 76ers aren't really, and I like Tyrese Maxey, and I do think they actually have a really well-built team. I do. But, come on now. Without Embiid, that's really hard. Cavs should be zeroing in on the 3 seed. And I think how they play over this next stretch coming up to the All-Star game and even a little bit after, that's going to tell you, like, I think this is a right little ignite for them. Little kick in the butt. Say, you got to get up to that 3 seed, guys.
And quite frankly,
see how they play over the next stretch here.
You expect the Bucks to kind of turn things around as they're struggling with the new regime under Doc
Right,
Rivers.
right.
But then you look at the Knicks right above the Cavs, who are now going to be without Julius Randle for a little bit, and they're going to have to rely on Jalen Brunson, and they're only, I believe, a game and a half above the Cavs.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. There's a lot to play out. A lot of interesting things happening in the Eastern Conference right now.
Well, we talk about interesting things happening in the NBA, Matt, and I know you're not really buying into this, but the talk of the town now is LeBron James potentially wanting out of LA. We know he's there till the end of this year, but rumors have it LeBron wants out of LA.
All right, do you want me to do the NBA trade machine right now? You want to do this?
Fire that bad boy up.
NBA trade machine. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. I don't want to, but I'll do it for you. Team number 1, LA Lakers. LeBron James. Ugh. That's a lot. That's a lot of money, buddy. Team 2, your Cleveland Cavaliers. All right. All right. 2 years, $47 million.
For Bron, right?
For Bron. All right. I'm going to start with Karis LeVert. Does Max Strus even make it? Trade failed.
I was gonna say, because you're not buying into, you're not gonna include one of the 4, right?
I mean, here's what I'm saying. I don't think you have a choice. Karis LeVert and Darius Garland gets you LeBron James. Karis LeVert and let me adjust the trade here. Can I just take Karis LeVert out? No. I need to adjust the trade. Darius Garland. All right, let me take out DG. Let me try Jarrett Alle and Karis LeVert. That trade failed. Let me keep Karis in there. I'll take Jarrett out. Okoro and Allen? You could trade Jarrett Allen, Karis LeVert, and Isaac Okoro for LeBron James. That's just money. That's just money. You want me to keep going here? You want me to keep trying this?
Matt, I kind of like that.
Oh, stop that.
Hear me out.
Stop that.
Hear me out.
No.
The one that I liked kind of was DG and Karis. If you can get LeBron for 3 years here, you have a real shot to go win 3 titles. 1 out of those 3 years.
Do you want an even maybe better one? You could do Garland and Isaac Okoro. That works for LeBron.
I'd rather do him and Karis.
You'd rather do Karis?
Yeah.
Do you want me to start with Karis LeVert as your base?
Well, do you agree with me that you'd rather do Darius and Karis than Darius and Isaac?
Everybody's on this hate of Darius Garland right now. I'm not saying you are, but everybody else is. Okay. I'm not putting Donovan Mitchell in that. That's bad. No. Juju. That's bad juju.
Yeah, don't even do that.
Darius Garland and Karis LeVert.
Matt, I think I would do it.
That trade is successful.
If I can get LeBron here for 3 years with Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, and Donovan Mitchell, I mean, you have a legit chance to make it out of the East for the next 3 years.
That would put the Cavs $3.2 million over the tax line.
Just fine.
Dan will pay that. I wouldn't do it.
So tell me why not.
Okay, number one, I agree that LeBron is still at a high premier level. He is still very good, number one. Number two, he actually very much fits a need of what this team what we need on
We
this
haven't
team.
had a small forward since then.
Right. You are talking me into this, you son of a gun.
I'm telling you, dude.
You want to know the third one?
I'm telling you.
You want to know the third one and the most important thing? He would walk in that building and go, "We're going to the NBA Finals,
Dude, it'd be better
Get
than
on my
any...
back and let's go."
I'm saying.
Tell me that if they
Imagine the juice in this town. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Darius and Karis. Darius and Karis.
Let me also. Why are you doing this to me? I don't want to do this. I don't want to do. But if you sent Jarrett Allen back, because if you have LeBron here, think of the lineups that you have more flexibility
That's
now
fair.
if you traded
It's just-
a big,
It's
as
just hard
opposed
to
to
imagine
keeping both
not
of your
having Allen
guards.
right now.
Imagine if you traded one, and we're Donovan Mitchell's not, but I don't want to trade Darius Garland either. So that's my point. But could you imagine a lineup if you kept Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Max Strus, Evan Mobley, and LeBron James as your starting five?
Wait, you just said Darius Garland.
Yeah. If I said you trade away Jarrett Allen.
Oh.
If I traded away Jarrett, because my point is on how he would change this lineup and how JB could take. I like the two guards. I want the two guards.
No,
I
because
like
because here's why. Here's why. I'd rather have Jarrett and Evan, because then you don't really have to make LeBron play defense.
No, but also like I'm just talking about the fit of what they're going to want to run. I think LeBron is better off when he has multiple. What's his biggest problem in LA right now? He has no guards. LeBron has always been his best when he has guards.
And he'll have Donovan Mitchell, who equates to
I'll
two
give you
average
that.
guys.
That's a good fair point.
Imagine a lineup of imagine who has proven that he can really truly run point.
He can run point.
Donovan Mitchell, Isaac Okoro, LeBron, Jarrett, Evan Mobley. You have three really dominant defensive players. You go and lean on Donovan and LeBron, and then at that point, Strus can be your first dude off the bench. You still have Dean Wade.
And you still have Karis. Well, no, Karis
would be gone, which would be kind of sucks. You don't have that plug off the bench necessarily. And Strus kind of doesn't really give me much confidence that he could be that plug off the bench. But I mean, dude, that lineup would be scary.
The thing is, more than all of the reasons that I laid out, that is a move that you instantly signal to the organization, to this fan base, to everybody, like, dude, we're going, and we're going to go to the NBA Finals.
Then you just sign Donovan to a max.
Oh, I don't know how that money would work.
But he can't. Donovan can't get a supermax.
He can't yet.
Sure.
Yet.
Do we really think he's going to make All NBA this year?
Yeah, probably.
If he didn't, I don't know.
I guess maybe not. I mean, again, like those are all things that's probably he's waiting out for the other deal. The thing is, you could go to Donovan and say sign you don't have to sign 5 years. You can sign 3.
I'm getting excited.
It's not happening.
Why?
Okay, let's play this out from the Lakers side of things, where I'm coming from the standpoint 100%. Rob Pelinka doesn't have the stones to trade LeBron
But if he
James.
knows he's gone, Matt.
I know. But the thing is, you still have the rest of the season to play. The Lakers are in the toilet, okay? So they're not playing for much. Rob Pelinka, how do you fix that team? You need some draft picks. You ain't getting one from the Cavs. You would have to get another team involved.
That's fine.
And
you know you want it
got
to
another
happen.
team?
You know
What
you
if
want
you-
it to happen, Matt.
Well,
Don't
I don't
fight
know
it.
about
Don't
that.
fight it. Don't fight it.
Listen, if you were able to get LeBron here, and again, I'm not even so tied up on who you're giving up or not. But if you got another third team involved, and you went to the Lakers and said, this third team is going to bring you the draft pick, we'll bring you a player or two. You're going to unload LeBron. You can unload D'Angelo Russell. You can unload somebody else if you want.
Davis, man. I mean,
No, they're putting their eggs in the AD basket. That's their only point of this moving forward. They can keep Austin Reeves, and then they can keep some of these other things, but we'll get you D'Angelo Russell out of there. You're going to move on from LeBron. But the thing is, they don't need to make this move just to get rid of LeBron's contract, right? They're going to make this move because they need to get assets for the future or players that they can turn to and say, all right, dude, they would ask for Jarrett Allen. They would tell me that
we got to give him.
with these
Dude, imagine. Don't fight it.
Because you want to know the other thing?
Let it consume you. Let it mold you. Let it dictate.
It's like venom right now.
It
It's like
is.
crawling up my
LeBron
arm
has
and,
been
like,
venom.
just starting to like just take me over. Because you want to know why? You want me to talk about it? The rest of this segment like this?
Yes.
You signed Donovan Mitchell to that deal. And you tell yourself, there are people staring at me now. Ryan, I'm going to put my hands down. Hi, how's it going? Good to see you. You signed Donovan Mitchell to like a 3-year deal, and you say, here's our 3-year window, and that's it.
Which is fine. That's how we won in 16.
I know. He's not coming.
Why not?
The Lakers aren't going to trade him.
Matt.
They're not.
Why on God's green earth, if you know this player's gone, you're not winning a ship this year?
LeBron!
It doesn't. That's a fallacy to think about.
Stop. No.
Yes,
That is 100% true. You do not move him without his blessing. And maybe he's in on this, and maybe he's okay with it. He does not have a no-trade clause. This is LeBron, okay?
He wants out.
Does he?
Yes.
Do we know that?
Pretty much.
Okay. If he really wants out,
Which he does.
they want draft picks. Okay, you want to go to another path here? Where else would LeBron want to play?
Philly.
Would he, though?
If Joel comes back
Like,
healthy.
that's because here's another reason why I'm kind of helping the Cavs on this, right? A big factor in this is LeBron. And a part of the reason I always felt like he wanted to go to LA was to say that he played for the Lakers. So in his career, Cavs, Miami, Cavs, and the Lakers, right? He wanted to go play in Miami, did that. He wanted to go play in LA. Legitimately, where would he want to go play? Because again, I'm not saying the Celtics even have what I don't really believe that LeBron would ever want to go play for the Boston Celtics.
Hell no.
Right?
Yeah,
no, absolutely not. So what other teams would be of interest that it actually makes sense or actually they have the viability to go get him?
He would want to end his career in Cleveland. End it where it all began. Win another ring.
I maybe, sure. And the thing is, oh God, look what you've done to me.
Like the devil on your shoulder.
Is this team not built up exactly like they were when they got him to come back the first time? Right? Is this team not built up for you to sit there and say, dude, look what we got for you?
I made this statement a couple shows ago. I made the statement a couple shows ago that Anthony Davis was the best player that LeBron really, I think, has ever played with in his career.
And you and I differed.
And we kind of differed a little bit. You could say prime D-Wade. Or he really wasn't his prime.
I was making the case for
Kyrie Irving, right.
Because here's the thing, and I agreed with you on this. AD's a better player than Kyrie, but in my opinion, Kyrie is what LeBron needed. And that's why I thought that was the best version, was when he had a guard like that. Oh, gee.
I'd argue that Donovan Mitchell would be better than Kyrie. No? Would you agree with that?
I'll put it this way. It's worth a conversation. I never thought I'd say that.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm ready to quite stamp that, but it's pretty damn freaking close, isn't that? I know, 40-point games, and you can
not even that.
I know,
but if he signs an extension, right? So let me ask you this, Matt. Give me your, and this is going to be tough because we haven't seen Donovan here very long. Give me your top 5 Cavs all time, like a lineup.
Okay, LeBron.
Make it a lineup. So you have to do like
okay. Well, Z would be no. Actually, this is meant to be a hot take. I think Brad Daugherty is better than Z ever was with
and
the
that's
Cavs
fine.
back in. So Brad Daugherty's your 1. Your 5, I should say, excuse me. Would you let me put LeBron at the power forward? He's got to be my 3. He's got to be my 3, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would want to put Austin Carr there too. But the thing is, you're talking about Mark Price. I would take Mark Price over Kyrie Irving. Right?
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's getting convoluted with like the best Cavaliers. Or like Kyrie Irving is a better NBA player than Mark Price was. So I guess maybe like
Donovan Mitchell and LeBron would instantly turn into the best duo.
What is your
in
point?
NBA.
Your point is bringing up that Donovan Mitchell is one of the best point guards that has ever played for the Cavaliers. Yes, and maybe even better than Kyrie and Mark Price. Yeah, very possibly. And again, of LeBron's career, where he's smart, he knows where he's at right now, and he knows what he needs. I just thought, I was conditioned to think this way, and I think LeBron was too, that he was going to finish things out in LA. it's not quite that easy to say, all right, that's not the case. We're out of here. We're flipping this. And then it comes back to, like, what is LeBron's goal? To win another championship or to play with his son? I think playing with his son is more important at this point of his career. Well, if he comes to the Cavs, then his goal is still to go to win a championship, right? And you're talking about a Cavs team that would be severely handcuffed on how and when they would be able to get Bronny, either this upcoming draft or the next one after that, because they don't have a lot of picks. This is all stuff LeBron is thinking about. And at the end of the day, this trade is just for one season. He has an expiring contract at the end of a season. So,
Matt, I'll say this. If LeBron comes to the Cavs, you could easily talk me into the Cavs finishing this year. Yes, this year is the 1 seed in the East.
sure. Yeah, no, that is the biggest thing that's pulling me towards why I would do it, is because without a doubt, it's LeBron. You're just telling everybody we're going for this. And then the changes, like you talk about the changes they got to make on the floor, those are good problems to have. And I think he's still got juice in the tank. He's not somebody that's just playing this out. Now, the thing is, the Lakers, and I can't get a true vibe on this because are they sitting him because they are trying to trade him, this ankle stuff, or was it, it's him and AD. They use these weird ass words. Like the tendinopathy or something is going on. I think is it LeBron's ankle or is his hip? AD's got the hip, I think.
I have no idea.
So he is battling an injury.
He's Iron Man.
I know, and you really only, dude, you could trade him here and be like, you can play once a week, and then I'm just going to need you to show up sometime around April.
And Matt, let me ask you this too. Let's say in a world Evan Mobley doesn't really pan out to be this top 3 big man in the league like we expected him to be at his ceiling, right?
Right.
So then you're kind of looking at this here. Okay, what if in that scenario then Donovan doesn't even sign with us? You're kind of screwed the next couple years without a real championship window. You bring in LeBron now, your window's open for the next 3 years guaranteed.
Oh, and that's, again, those would have to be what you would do to sign things up and to make it attainable. And then also the Darius deal if you did trade that. But you want to know what? Well, the trade machine let it go through. Aren't there rules about when you can trade Supermax guys and not? Is it just the neck? Well, Darius didn't sign a Supermax. Right. He just signed the max. Okay. All right. Maybe. I mean, obviously the trade machine made it work.
We're talking. We're getting this.
I don't. I'm not gonna buy it. I will not buy that. I see it in the window. It looks all glitzy and glammy, and they got a 10% off sale
that's
sign
fine.
on it. And I'm
That's
looking
fine.
at it. I'm gonna stare at it.
That's fine.
But
let's end this conversation with this though, because if it might not happen, right? Probably not. But would you?
I will tell you, operate right today. Starting out, it's not gonna happen.
Okay, but would you in a
I also
scenario
said that
where you
about
could
Bill
push a
Callahan.
button and the trade would go through like you just did?
Yeah.
Are you trading Darius and Karras for LeBron? Yes. Yes, and I love DG. But yes, if you want to get a championship, your window's now open for the next 3 years. Realistically, Matt, tell me this. Is their window open this year realistically? Do you see them as a real contender to go
Yes.
to the NBA Finals?
Yes.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, winning it, LeBron would help you in all those areas.
So then why would you not do that trade?
I'm stuck on the future, and I need to not be.
But here's the thing, Matt. Here's the thing, Matt, about this said future, right?
Are you ready? Are you ready?
You're not guaranteed Donovan. You're not guaranteed Mobley takes that step up, because if you want to win that championship, you need that. But you bring in LeBron these next 3 years, that eases that and maybe makes Mobley a better player. Learn stuff from LeBron. Who's better to learn from LeBron? You open your championship window now for 3 years. I don't care if LeBron's 38. He's the only dude to beat Father Time.
I'll give you what you want. I'd make that trade.
Yes.
I would make that trade. You wore me down. You beat me down. You got me on a Friday. I'd make that trade. I would.
Yes.
I would
Now
make
we're
that trade.
talking.
I would make that trade. That it? Is that how you want to end the morning update?
Yes.
You got me to say I would make that trade? All right. Fair enough. There we go. All right. Let's do this. Let's catch our break. We come back. We're going to dive into Time Hop. We'll see what happened this day in history. We'll get some more Cavs in. We'll set our typical boost and our bracket of the week of the most overrated musical artists. We'll get to all of it right here. Fontana Show on Big Play. All right, let's head back on Groundhog's Day. That little stinking weasel. We get early spring. I told you.
You did call it.
I just said like it kind of just flips every time back and forth. Shout out to Buckeye Chuck though. Blank off Punxsutawney Phil. It's like, there's one in like Jersey, like they're all over the place. But was Punxsutawney Phil like, wasn't he the OG? Is that why he's who he is?
He's been doing that. He's been grinding for that for a while.
Grinding. I don't know how quick, how's he on the upkeep there? Is he actually like, what's his percentage here?
I don't know.
Hang on. Punxsutawney Phil, accuracy. Here we go. From CBS News 5 days ago. Oh, get out of here. Phil's been used for weather predictions for more than 130 years. Not the same groundhog. According to the legend, if Phil sees his shadow on February 2nd, he predicts an additional 6 weeks of winter. If he doesn't, we get an early spring. Since 1887 through last year, he is at a 36% accuracy rate.
Bust.
Retire his ass.
Bust. Phil's a bust.
He's a bust. Between then, he saw his shadow 107 times. Wait a minute. That can't be right. So, wait a minute. He forecasted 6 more weeks of winter 107 times in a difference of only 20? Again, he saw it 107 times and didn't see it 20 times? They said they missed like 10 years. Their record keeping wasn't as good in 1894 or whatever.
Bigger bust, Anthony Bennett or Punxsutawney Phil?
Punxsutawney Phil, 36%.
Jamarcus Russell or Punxsutawney Phil?
All right, how about this? Between 2013 and 2020, he was 7-3. 7 times he saw his shadow, 3 times he didn't. Of those 7, he was only correct 1 time. Let's retire Punxsutawney Phil. He's done. He's done. So if anything, we should feel bad that he predicted an early spring because he's probably going to be wrong.
Can you tweet out that Punxsutawney Phil's a bust?
He's a bust. Last year, shadow, prediction was wrong. 2022, shadow, he was wrong. 2021, shadow, he was wrong. 2020, no shadow, he was right. 2019, no shadow, wrong. 2018, wrong. 2017, wrong. 2016, right. 2015, wrong.
I don't like those numbers.
According to Storm Facts Almanac, Punxsutawney Phil has only been right 39% of his time. He's a bust.
No way they re-sign him.
They better not. They better not. I'm going to send that. I don't want to derail the show because I don't know how to spell Punxsutawney. Hang on. Here we go. All right, right now. We need to have a conversation here. What is it here? Over 130 years of doing his job.
How is he still employed?
Only at a 36% hit rate. It's time to retire his ass. There it is. I sent it out. At Fontana 83. 36%. You can't do that. That's bullcrap. Anyway, let's get back into time. I'll tell you what happened, including 2 years ago today. So again, we did it yesterday too. That the Brian Flores lawsuit came out and all that. Right. And 2 years ago today, Hugh Jackson made comments that the Browns paid him to lose games. And I sent a tweet out that actually became one of my most liked tweets in my Twitter history. And I said this: Brian Flores had receipts and proof that he was offered to lose games for money. Hugh Jackson said, they gave me a really bad team and expected me to lose. Those are not the same things.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Those are not the same things. And I know Hugh's back in this cycle again because he and Marv Lewis are going to the Raiders, and why, I don't know. Who knows? Whatever, fine. But, like, that was my thing. I never wanted Hugh to hurt the Brian Flores case because I wanted Brian Flores to expose the NFL if that truly was going on, if there were issues that needed to be figured out. I felt like Hugh Jackson glomming on to that was never a good thing. Now, that being said, I was not in the building with Hugh Jackson. So some of the claims that Hugh Jackson has made, I can't say that they're not true because I don't know. The thing is, every time that somebody has Hugh on a show, every time he says that the book is coming out and it never does, all we ask for Hugh is some receipts, man. We live in a world today. You can make these claims, you can say what you want, but unless you've got receipts, it doesn't matter. And in the court of law, it's not going to matter. And I frankly think to a point in the public opinion, that doesn't matter either. Unless you could come with some tangible proof that what you say happened, it's always going to be your word versus theirs. And it's just going to be a giant pissing match. And that's all it's ever going to be. I ain't getting into it. Now, you, me, and everybody saw what the Browns were doing. And it's not, I don't want this to be misconstrued either. It's not illegal to tank. And in fact, in a lot of different sports, it's the right thing to do. The Browns tanked. They got Myles Garrett and David Njoku and Nick Chubb and Denzel Ward and Baker Mayfield. And they got all these good players to come in here and frankly help turn things around. Hugh Jackson would have been a part of that if he would have just gone along with the play. This is another part of it too. I never understood why Hugh got so up in arms with it. Because if he would have stuck around and been part of some of the success that the Browns had, I know, insert your own jokes about if he would have led this team to be successful or not with the players eventually they got, nobody would have remembered that. Now, you went 0-16. That's a stink that maybe you can't wash off. But you got to remember, the Browns never asked to go 0-16. They would have been fine with 3-13. You got to win a couple of games. And that is probably what more got Hugh fired than anything. The fact you couldn't even win a game. Like, you couldn't stumble your way into a win at some point. But he jumps in saying the Browns paid him to lose. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I can't make any definitive statements. But Hugh, me, and everybody knew what was going on. They were tanking to turn things around. You, unfortunately, were a part of that. You took the job. I don't know what to tell you.
Matt, real quick before we go on to the next time hop, you have 10 minutes to get 311. They're only 1%. They're only 1% winning behind Beyonce or in front of Beyonce. You have 10 minutes.
They're
left.
not winning, are they?
311?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're voted the most overrated.
Oh my God! Stop that.
Go retweet. You have 10 minutes.
No.
You only need like probably 10 votes to sway it, but you have 10 minutes to get that to change to Beyonce. 311 right now is the most overrated band.
You gotta be
in the world.
Kidding me.
Oh, you didn't think they were winning this
No, they weren't winning this morning.
Yeah, they were. Like 10 minutes. You probably get like 15 or 10 votes on Beyonce. Can 311 beat the clock?
They better not win.
On your own show.
They better not win.
Well, time's ticking.
Hey, they better not.
Clock is not your friend, Matt.
That's it. This is bullcrap. This is utter bullcrap. This is... Whatever. All right, here we go. Continuing on. This day, 2021, EA Sports announced the return of NCAA football. Ryan, I sit in the year of 2024, and I still don't have anything. It's not coming out in July. There's no way.
There's been like 20 different releases.
I know. It's not happening. It's sad, but here we are that they're coming back, and they never did. This day, 2020, Chiefs beating the 49ers. Can they do it again? 31-20 to win Super Bowl 58. Shakira and J-Lo with the halftime. So weird.
My favorite halftime.
Oh,
show.
my God. I'm sure it was for you. I'm sure it was. Okay, I get it. Yeah,
Wh-
good for you.
who do you think's better looking, J-Lo or Shakira? I'm more of a Shakira guy
I would
myself.
probably say Shakira. Yeah,
I'm more
probably.
of a Shakira guy myself.
Again, dude, it's so funny that this morning, if everybody hasn't seen, like this Paramount commercial, which is hilarious and amazing. Why do they release it a week before the Super Bowl? Why can't I just watch the Super Bowl and see it? Anyway, Ryan's been singing Creed all morning because there's a great Paramount Plus commercial in Creed.
Take me higher.
And I say to him, dude, you're 22. You don't even know.
Whoa. I turned 23 a week ago.
All right, 23. Sorry. You are 23. You don't even know. I sound like just such an old man, right? You don't even know about Creed. You don't even know about when Shakira came on the scene, man. And that hip dancing that she was doing, and I didn't even know that one song, their most famous song.
Hips Don't Lie?
Yeah, that one. Right?
I know some Shakira.
I'm sure you do. You don't even know, man, what the early 2000s were like when that came out. And Whenever, Wherever. That
Whenever,
one too. Yeah,
wherever.
that one. That's the one. That is the one that she was like, they were moving. They were moving in that.
Can you believe Shakira's husband cheated on her?
There's a lot of dumbasses in this
Oh
world.
my
Trust me,
goodness.
okay? There's a lot of dumbasses in this world. And
Talking about fumbling
trust
the
me,
bag.
I'm not in there about other people's marriages or relationships or whatever. I think cheating is one of the worst things you could do to a person anyway.
The top 5 bag fumble ever.
But that, and then when Hugh Grant, he was married to Elizabeth Hurley, and they caught him soliciting a prostitute. Dude, you were married to Elizabeth Hurley. What? What are you doing? Why would you do that? You had to Google who Elizabeth Hurley was. Austin Powers for a lot of people.
pretty fine.
She's very attractive. Like, I don't understand. I really don't. But yeah, that's a mistake on their part for sure. But you don't even know the era of Shakira for sure. This day, 2018, getting ready for the draft. Baker Mayfield caught up with TMZ, and he said, I'd love to play for the Cleveland Browns. Doing a little PR work there, if you will. This day, 2015, it was announced that Johnny Manziel was going to be entering rehab. Statement from the Browns said they respect Johnny's initiative in this decision and will fully support him. It never worked. It was never going to work for him in the NFL. Got drafted, made some good money off of that. Sure, he's making good money in Texas A&M right now. It is what it is. This day, 2014, Super Bowl 48. Do you remember this one, Ryan? The Seahawks obliterated the Broncos 43-8. It was at Giants Stadium, maybe the last time they ever go back to a situation like that. Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers were the halftime act.
Wow, that's goated.
Dude, 10 years ago. And then remember, the Chili Peppers got caught and none of their guitars were plugged in. And everybody freaked out and they go, dude, it's the Super Bowl. They don't let you play live. They don't do it. And just think about that for all of them. This day, 2009, Kobe Bryant set the Madison Square Garden record with 61 points. He was a perfect 20 of 20 from the free throw line.
This poll is so close.
Oh, my God. It better.
It's down to 0.3% 311's winning. Oh, my God.
It better change. It better change.
9 minutes left on the poll.
Here's the problem. I didn't vote for Beyonce. I voted for the Beatles. Now I want to go back and take my vote back and push it for Beyonce.
Doesn't work
which
like
is
that, my
also
friend.
bull crap because I don't think Beyonce's overrated either. The answer is the Beatles here.
9 minutes.
Go vote. At Matt Fontana Show, at Matt Fontana 83. I mentioned it earlier with the fraud that is Punxsutawney Phil. The first ever Groundhog's Day was held this day, 1887. This day, 1876, the National League of Baseball was founded. Of course, the AL was founded in 1903. Very happy birthday goes out to former Ohio State linebacker Matt Wilhelm, Northeast Ohio's own. Remember Fozzie Whitaker, Browns running back? Foswit Whitaker.
I'm thinking of Forrest Whitaker.
I'm thinking of Forrest Whitaker. No, Fozzie Whitaker. We tried to get the Pro Bowl one year as a fullback. Didn't work. Former Ohio State Buckeye Jeff Okudah, Farrah Fawcett, Christy Brinkley, Robert DeLeo. Oh, my God.
It's another time as a flat circle thing.
It's not Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots. Do you know who the final birthday is for today?
How would I possibly know this?
What did we just spend a good few minutes talking about?
LeBron? Well, I know it's December, but something about LeBron?
No, more recently. I'm talking about like 4 minutes ago.
311? What? Hugh Jackson? Dude, what?
Somebody you're a big fan of.
Billy Joel?
We were just talking about her. It's Shakira's birthday today.
What the hell? Happy birthday, Shakira.
Glitch in the Matrix.
She watches our show, so maybe she's listening.
I would. Maybe she does. I don't know. Shakira celebrating a birthday today. That is so weird that happens. All right, 2 movies for you today. We start this day, 1996. A bit of a buffoon almost derails his brother's bid to become the governor of Washington, but in turn ends up helping him win the election.
96?
Yes.
A buffoon
almost derails his brother's his brother's running for governor.
Sure, I get the premise.
And he almost screws it up, but in the end ends up getting him the election.
I don't think I've ever heard of a plot like this.
The starring duo in this movie also starred in a very famous movie from the 90s as well. They were seen as a comedic duo. The other movie is more well-known. Like of this actor who has passed away, unfortunately. There's a movie that stands above the rest, but in my opinion, this is probably his second best movie. Short-lived, 2 SNL guys.
Chris Farley and, so what movie would that be?
David Spade. So if Tommy Boy was their biggest one and it's not Tommy Boy, have you ever heard of the movie Black Sheep?
No.
Oh, great flick. So this was the second of those 2 guys.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Black Sheep's hilarious. Let me put it this way. Nothing will ever touch Tommy Boy, but Black Sheep's pretty
I need
funny.
to watch Tommy Boy.
You've never seen Tommy Boy?
Here we go again. No.
What? How have you never seen Tommy Boy?
Well, so my eyes didn't sit on the screen that it played on for 2 hours, therefore I haven't seen it.
Go watch Tommy Boy. That needs to be remedied soon. All right. Black Sheep, you didn't get it. Sorry, 1996. And then the final one, this day, 1972. A delinquent and his group of friends that he calls droogs go on a rampage before he is caught and institutionalized to change his ways. A young man, would you like his name in the movie?
Sure.
Alex. His name is Alex. He runs with his group of friends that he calls the Droogs. They go on a debaucherous run of things. They commit horrible crimes. He is then caught and institutionalized to try to change his ways. Stanley Kubrick. Malcolm McDowell plays Alex DeLarge in
I don't think I'm going to get it.
A Clockwork Orange.
Never seen it.
Never seen it?
Dude, you got to stop.
So Clockwork Orange, I will tell you this, is literally one of the trippiest movies that I've ever seen in my life, okay? I do not partake in drugs, so I don't know what it's like to
drink coffee.
I do drink coffee. I do. But that movie is out there, man. And it's meant to be in like a futuristic type of world. The cars they drive, the things they do, they're drinking LSD milk. I'll tell you this, it is not for the faint of heart. There's scenes in that movie that I would never show my kids. Like, it's bad.
I'm going to watch it now.
Watch Tommy Boy first, then watch Clockwork Orange. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I was like pretty well known as a film, you know, with like going down for all the best or whatever. So, Phil, so I tweeted, ironically, this is also Phil. I tweeted out, I said, Punxsutawney Phil's a phony. I go 36% hit rate, and Phil tweets back, goes, Rogers Hornsby's in the Hall of Fame. He only batted .350.
True. It depends what sport we're playing.
That's a great tweet. That's the tweet of the day. Oh, man, that's a great tweet from Phil there. That is true. I guess at a 36% hit rate, he would get in the Hall of Fame, man. So there it is. Where are we at? You have got to be kidding me.
2 minutes left, Matt.
2 minutes left. This poll better change. 0.3%. 0.3%. I might not show up next week. This poll goes south. I might not show up.
I'm going to tweet 311 too.
Don't do that. Stop that. No.
From the Matt Fontana show.
No.
From the Matt Fontana show.
Wait a minute. I think I follow that guy.
From the Matt Fontana show.
I have been to 12 different shows in 4 different states. I've gone to Las Vegas to see them for 311 Day. I have 6 T-shirts. I will not stand for this. This is bull crap.
2 minutes.
This had better change. This had better change.
I'm not seeing any more.
You want to know what? This is just—it's fake. I'm not even getting wrapped up in it. This is just a troll job on me.
All right, Donald.
This is just a troll job on me.
All right,
okay,
Donald.
all right. Don't worry about it. I'm not even worried about it. Now I'm worried about our show because people are just going to troll me on the show here. What are we doing?
1 minute.
Dude, it's not even close. Okay, it's not even like. And I will admit this as a 311 fan. The Beatles, Coldplay, Beyonce, and 311. One of them is not like the other. Frankly, one is good and the other ones are not. But 311's not. Yeah, 311's not even in this conversation. It's not even close.
This might be our closest poll ever.
It better change.
You have literally probably 30 seconds.
1 minute left. 1 minute.
It's a long minute.
1 minute.
Dude, you better get those Twitter fingers.
I just sent it again. 1 minute. You better vote this.
Oh, it's about to close.
I will say I didn't say vote to Beyonce.
It's about to close.
It is weird that you sync that up, that it's perfect and that it's ending right at the end of the show. Stop.
0 minutes left.
Stop. No, it's not done yet. Stop it. It's not done yet. It will say it goes final. It'll say that it's going to go final.
You need.
It's not done yet. Stop. It's not done yet. It's not done yet. Hit the refresh. Hit the refresh. And wait.
There's no votes coming in.
You wait. There's still time. There is still time. There's still time on this.
I'm just frantically
It's still there. It'll
refreshing.
say final. It'll say final. I know, we're searching for somebody that made a trade here. I'm hitting the refresh button on this. No, there's still time. There's still time. That poll better not finish the way that it better not be. It better not.
This is negative 1 minute left.
No. It's still time. It'll say it goes final. On any poll, it'll say that it's done.
It literally says negative
no,
one.
No. That's just less than 1 minute left.
No,
there's just less than 1 minute left.
How does it go from 0 minutes left to less than 1 minute left?
Mother.
Yes, final results.
God. Oh no.
Oh my God. I think he just broke his computer.
You gotta be kidding me, man.
Oh my God.
I hope I didn't break my computer.
Congratulations to 311, the Matt Fontana show. They are officially the most overrated band in America. One more time for 311.
Oh, you had the graphic already made? Get out of here. Have a good weekend, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Radio host rages and breaks his computer after favorite brand gets voted most overrated on his own show.
To Cody and Danny and all you out there, you go to hell. Go to hell. You go right to hell.
Let that simmer into the weekend.
You jerk. I gotta make sure I didn't break my laptop. I tripped over it. I forgot it was plugged in. I tripped over it. All right, good. My external hard drive is not broken.
Oh,
you jerks.
All right, Matt, before we go, one more time. 311.
Stop that. Have a great weekend. Go Thank you to Tipico, Fontana code 100. I'm going to go drown my sorrows. Folks, appreciate the support this week. Enjoy the hell out of it. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Fontana show right here. I'm going to go listen to 311 in the car ride on the way home. I'm going to go listen to him on the... You do not tweet at them.
I'm tagging him.
Don't do it.
I'm tagging
Don't
him.
do it. You better not. Don't do it.
We gotta go.
We got to go. As always, take it easy.